with that video of Meera that we had, Gurleen?
Yes.
Had that video, please. Gurleen, could you play that video that we selected? I don't. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming up now.
Is there an audio? I don't hear anything. Sir, do you have the audio?
I am not getting it right now.
I can't hear any sound as such. There's no audio.
Gurleen, video bhi ruk gaya aur audio bhi band hai.
Yeah, I just paused the video because I heard that you can't hear the sound.
Okay. So there is going to be some issue. We can drop the ID.
Yeah, because I don't know, my audio is already on computer system. So it shouldn't have been a problem. I'm just playing it.
Is it directly from YouTube or have you recorded it?
It seems from YouTube.
Oh, I think that's why probably. It will take time. You should have.
Shall we forget it then?
You can do one thing. You can play the audio from your mobile. If you know like which site is it, you can just play it from the audio from your mobile.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, that will work.
जितना आसान है 10 बॉल में 2 रन बनाना, उतना ही आसान है बिजनेस को ऑनलाइन ले जाना। GoDaddy का इजी टू यूज ऑनलाइन स्टार्टर बंडल लो और अपने बिजनेस को ऑनलाइन।
Okay, so ये हमने थोड़ी सी कोशिश की थी वीडियो चलाने की, but I don't think this was very successful. तो हमने 2 और वीडियोस भी रखे हुए थे, but I think we will do away with it. कि इसकी क्वालिटी ठीक नहीं तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो रहा है. तो बाजा हाउस के आज के सेशन में आप सबको मैं वेलकम करता हूँ. आई थिंक देयर आर अराउंड 37 पीपल विद अस. और आज जैसे कि आपको मालूम है, वी आर गोइंग टू हैव अ कन्वर्सेशन अबाउट द लाइफ एंड टाइम्स एंड पोएट्री ऑफ सेंट पोएट. ये वीडियो हमने इसलिए चूज किया था क्योंकि इसमें काफी सारी ऐसी बातें हैं जो हमारी कॉन्वर्सेशन के साथ बिल्कुल मेल खाती हैं, क्योंकि इसमें वो बात करती है कि लाज शर्म कुल की मर्यादा सर से दूर करी, becomes a rebel. तो हम इसकी भी कॉन्वर्सेशन में जिक्र होगा कि मीरा was considered a rebel in her poetry and her life also. और फिर वो अपने आप को कहती है मीरा भगत रूप भई सांची. तो वो जब भगत अपने आप को कहती है तो उसमें भक्ति का एलिमेंट भी अपने आप ही आ रहा था. तो आज हमारे साथ मीरा बाई की लाइफ के बारे में बात करने के लिए डॉक्टर गुरुदेश सर हैं, जो यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रोफेसर थे इंग्लिश के, और उनके साथ जो गेस्ट स्पीकर हैं हमारे, वो रमनीता शारदा हैं, जिनकी पीएचडी मीरा के ऊपर थी. सर, मैं अब आपसे इजाजत लूंगा और आपको कहूंगा कि आप ये प्रोग्राम शुरू कीजिए प्लीज, एंड लेट्स एंजॉय द पोएट्री ऑफ मीराबाई. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you very much, Guru Pratap. And Ramanita, welcome
Thank you.
aboard on Maja House. This must be your in conducting so many programs on popular poets, especially the ones who are classical, well reputed, well established. This time we picked up on Mirabai. And I tell you, my friends, we couldn't have a better or more competent person than Ramnita on this subject, because I guess she is the one of those few teachers or researchers who have done work on Mirabai. And not only Mirabai, she has also done work on a couple of other medieval poets, especially women, who are supposed to be a kind of dissenters, who are supposed to be rebellious in some way. I'll not say much about it because I think she'll on her own tell you when she gets into discussion. But for the sake of introduction, let me tell you that she is a teacher of English in HMV, a very prestigious college in Punjab. Besides this, she has been herself a poet. She has published a couple of books on poetry, and she has also published some expository essays on Mirabai and other rebel women poets. In the college, she's now a senior teacher and she is a dean innovations. To me, I think all those things are probably less important than her competence on the subject of Mira. And I think without wasting much time, I'll start with the first inquiry. That would be very simple. And I think I would like you to, Ramnita, introduce Mirabai to our audience here and tell us something about her life or her times in which she lived and she wrote poetry.
Thank you, Dr. Gurupdesh, for a very, very generous introduction. Thank you so much. It is indeed a pleasure to be with all of you today. And it's my first time on Majha, and I'm glad to be here. And I'm so glad that, you've chosen Mira as your subject, because Mira was relegated, not only in her own time, somewhere into, the silence, but also even in present times, there is not much, she's not much talked about. So going by her life and her times were medieval times, which were very much similar to the modern times in some ways, and very different in some other ways. Similar in the sense that there was a lot of synergy, there was a lot of movement happening around that time. There was a lot of trade happening around that time, and people were mingling. There was movement of people, traders from one place to another, and along with them there was a movement of the ideas, the ideologies also. And the times were different in a way that those were difficult times for women particularly, and that's precisely why we have very little historical information about Mira. We have more of hagiographical information about her. And she's supposed to be born somewhere around 1498, which is end of the 15th century. And she was born in Kudki. That's some scholars say it was Bajoli, some say it was Kudki, in Rajasthan. Daughter of Ratan Singh and granddaughter of the great Rao Duda, who was a very powerful ruler of Mirta. Her father passed away, and then her grandfather brought her to his home, and where she was, reared up. It is believed that she was taught, as were the norms of the time, as a princess. She was taught everything from music to, literature to language, and she was taught everything. She learned about uh, whatever all the princesses would learn at that time. She was taught at home, and she was well taught. And as the legend goes, somebody was selling that Krishna and that image of Krishna, and it was brought. She saw a wedding procession, and she ran to her dhaima. She says that, "Mera dula kaun hai? Mera dula kaun hai?" So she had that Krishna in her hand. She said, "Okay, ye tumhara dula hai." So that's how it all started. They say that she took fancy to that idol, and she accepted that. Maybe it was the innocence of a child, a naive, kind of a attachment. But then that single moment perhaps went down in history to create what Mira became later. She was married uh, at the young age of 15, and she was married to uh, to a very important. It was more of a it was more of a marriage of convenience or marriage of alliance, as was the norm of the time. राणा सांगा के इनके पौत्र के साथ में इनका she got married to him. He died. The Vikrama, his name was Vikram. He died young, and the marriage was never consummated. So she went into her in-laws' house, where again she faced a lot of problems, as was the, she was given poison. She was poisoned uh, by her in-laws, and she was. There's a whole lot of poetry to her about her stay in her in-laws' house. I'll just read out a few things from what she talks about her Saas and Nanad, in her about her life in her in-laws' house. Uh, she says, "Heli monsoon hari bin raho na jaye, सास लड़े मेरी ननद खिजावे, राना यार साए, पहरो भी राख्यो चौकी बिठारियो, तालो देव जड़ाए, पूर्व जन्म की प्रीत पुरानी, सो क्यों छोड़ी जाए, मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर, अवर न आवे मारी दाए." So there is, because she was overtly devoted, she was very much devoted to Krishna, and she wouldn't listen to anything. So that is how she, became a rebel in her own family. Another very important factor is that the family that she got married into was they were the worshippers of Kali Ma, and she refused to follow their deity. She had her personal deity, Krishna, and she continued to worship Krishna in place of Kali. So that was, they were, at every step she has rebelled against the system. That's what I believe.
Can I just come in here? Since most of the information about her comes from the geography, kind of, the tales people have woven around her life. In what way can we really establish her as a real person? Because the stories that we hear is that they tried to kill her, and they brought some kind of a basket in which there was a snake, and suddenly the snake turns into a Krishna statue, or it turns into a garland, something like this. these are the kind of stories, obviously unreal stories, fiction. How do we establish her as a real person? Can you help us on that?
You see, in the first place, why do we have these stories about her? As I say that Mirabai's poetry is not her poetry alone. It's a corpus of poetry. Because her poetry varies from 6 poems to 6,000. Okay, when we go to research, we find that if one person has said that there are just 6 poems attributed to her, then on the other extreme we have about 6,000. So her poetry basically is the poetry of the people. It is the voice of the people. Now, as a person, as you're saying that why these, there are a lot of stories woven around her. There are a lot of, miracles woven around her. Why? Because she is the voice of the people, whom people kept alive. Because, there are no references to her in the chronicles of those great kings. Number one, she was a woman. Number two, she was a rebel. There's no temple. In fact, there's just one temple now.
Yeah, there is one. Yes.
Yes, there is one temple. And in Medta, they say that it's believed that even till today, nobody names their daughter Mira. It is a kind of it's not looked upon as something good to name the daughter as Mira, because she still bears that stigma. So why? And still, people are the ones. Common people are the ones who have kept her alive. Why? Because it was when she was revolting against Rana Sanga. It was a revolt against a ruler who was perhaps autocratic also. So at every point, wherever she is rebelling, it is the rebellion of the people also. Whether it is against patriarchy, or it is against feudalism, or it is against any kind of oppression, or it is against religion. Wherever it is the voice of the people, and that's why people have kept her alive also. As a person, when you say how do we establish her as a person, it is the kind of authority that she has. There is this very, very famous scholar of Mira Hawley. He has written about author and authority. And as I was having a discussion with somebody the other day, the medieval times were such, you will find that there are poems which are attributed, similar kind of idea, similar kind of thought is attributed to Kabir also. It is attributed to Mira, as well as to Sant Namdev, as well as to Tukaram. So whichever saint was popular, the poem was attributed to that. Pani mein, there's this Pani mein meen pyasi mohe sun sun aave hasi re. Somewhere you will find it is attributed to Kabir, and somewhere you'll find it is attributed to Mira. So that's the person that she was, is the authority that she held over the people.
That's very nice. I think
very following.
Yeah, that's the real issue. In fact, I'm also interested in knowing from you. When we go through the texts of Mira, I think I discovered there's a large range of variety of languages. And there are some poems which look like they are truly Rajasthani dialect, something like, they are 300-year-old language. Yes. And some are as fresh and as modern as, the contemporary Hindi is. The one, for example, Anup Jalota has, sung Aisi Lagi Re Lagan, Magan, which is, I think, like the contemporary Hindi. And that probably justifies what you are saying, is that how people have contributed to the image making of Mirabai.
Yes, and then there is this. Of course, the one that I'm going to read to you is again very. It has that it's not nach, it's nanch maha rasik rijama प्रीति पुरतना जांच्यारी श्याम प्रीतरी बांध घुंघरुआ मोहन मारो सांच्यारी लोक लाज कुलरा मरजादा जगमा नेक नाग राख्यारी.
Yeah, this is true Rajasthani.
Yes, this is Rajasthani.
Yes,
so, and then on the other side you will also have this pani mein meen pyasi re, mohe sun sun ave hasi re.
Ah,
So that is
bit of Avdi. This is bit of
yes.
Avdi.
Then there is
Anyway, yeah, anyway, we'll get on to the next, I think, part of this discussion, where I would like to know from you, and the audience also would like to know from you, is why is it that she was so much devoted to uh, Krishna and not Ram when Tulsidas was her contemporary? And she also happens to, write to him or meet him. How is it that she got more interested in Krishna?
as the legend goes, as the hagiography of the saint goes, that it is she was kind of, somebody had written, there's a very uh, she's actually seen as Meera Prem Divani of Krishna. Now there's something very interesting about bhakti movement as such, about, and particularly the bhakti of the female saints. Um you know, even the male uh, bhakti saints, there is an amalgamation of what kind of love is it? It is almost erotic as well as it is spiritual. When it comes to Mirabai, the moment she had considered Krishna as her beloved, or as her, dulha, as
Mm.
her uh, groom, it is from that moment on that she got stuck, as I said, to Krishna's image. And Krishna, and it is a love, it's a kind of love which is, initially she is in love with the beloved who is Krishna, because even they say that her marriage, she did not want to get married, or whatever it was, the marriage was never consummated. She always had Krishna as her beloved. It is much towards the end of her life, or maybe that's how I read her poetry, that we think that she has started talking about Krishna in the spiritual sense of the term. The love has had its journey from that attraction, that physical attraction of the samvara, where he has, there are a lot of poems about मोर पंख लगा के आया है, पाँव में घुंघरू
Yes.
है, he is wearing yellow dress, उसके
Mm.
गले में माला है. All those details, they are very physical, and they are very they are tangible kind of details that she's giving. And then moves on to the emotional she feels the distance, and that, and then from there it moves on to something spiritual. It becomes where she realizes that she can become one with Krishna. It's a complete journey,
Yeah.
and at the center was always Krishna. Now, why it is not that she went and she met Tulsi and she realized that okay, Ram is the one. And if we look at Tulsi's Ram is a child whom he has, really admired. Krishna, the kind of Krishna Meera has admired, is very different from the kind of Ram that Tulsi has admired. There's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
very stark difference in these two.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. Now that begs another question, and that is that since she is so explicit about her love uh, for Krishna, and there's nothing mysterious about it, why do we call her a mystic poet? Mystic poets are those probably who have the love for an invisible God. Most of the Sufis do that, and many others have expressed love for God, which is in some way uh, a mystery. But why do we call her a mystic when she has an explicit relationship, at least acclaimed relationship with Krishna?
and that's what I said, that I think you would agree with me. It's like John Donne's journey of love, from physical to emotional to spiritual, and then becoming one, losing one's entire self.
Mhm.
It is like dying into the love of Krishna towards the end of it. So
Mhm.
why do we call her mystic, is because she joined the mystic orders also. She would walk with the saints, she would walk with the bhakts. She would go and dance in the temples, and she would do all kinds of things which were the part of the bhakti movement also at that time.
Mhm.
And her love is spiritual.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated thing.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
It is physical, it is spiritual, it is emotional. Krishna reverberates at every level of her being,
Yeah.
from her physical to her spiritual.
Thank you very much. I think at this point we will take a break, and I'll ask Gurleen to please play that video where she sings Jo Tum Todo Pia
मैं नहीं तोड़ूं,
and Nahi
जो
Todo.
तुम
Please.
तोड़ो पिया मैं नहीं तोड़ूं.
Todo. Yes, please. Gurleen, are you able to hear me?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Gurleen might be having some technical difficulty in putting on that song. तुसी अगले गाने ते चलो. अगले question ते sorry. And
Okay.
I'll ask her to play that song again after this question.
Okay. Right. Yes.
Figure it out कि किस तरह play करना है ताकि वो technical problem ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੁਣ ਨਾ ਆਏ.
All right. Okay. Yes.
Sorry for that. Sorry.
Uh-huh. All right then, Ramnita, we continue.
Yes, sir. I would love to read something about her, something from her poetry, which is sung
Yes.
in Rag Holi.
Mhm.
And Virha is very, very important aspect of her poetry. So I'm going to read one of the poems where she's also known as Birhani. She's also known.
Yes.
So Ramaiya bin Neend na aave, नींद ना आवे विरहा सतावे,
Mhm.
प्रेम की आंच ढुलावे, बिन पिया जोत मंदर अंधियारो, दीपक दाए न आवे, पिया बिन मेरी सेज अलूणी, जागत रैन बिहावे, पिया कब्रे घर आवे.
Yeah.
दादुर मोर पपीहा बोले, कोयल शब्द सुनावे, घूमट घटा उलर हुई आए, दामिन दमक डरावे, नैना झर लावे.
Yeah.
कहाँ करूं कित जाऊं मोरी सजनी, वैदन कूण बुलावे, विरहा नागण मोरी काया डसी है, लहर लहर जिव जावे, जड़ घस लावे, कोहे सखी सहेली सजनी, पिया को आन मिलावे, मीरा को प्रभु कब हो मिलोगे, मनमोहन मोहि भावे, कबे हंस कर बतलावे. So
Good.
there
Thank
is
you.
that.
Yeah. Thank you. Good. Yes. Now that reminds me very interesting parallel. The parallel is that Birha or Firak, or this is a very important theme in Sufi poetry.
Yes.
And we can see lots of parallels between Krishna and Ranja.
Yes.
He was a shepherd, if you remember. I mean, if Krishna was herding cows, then Ranja was doing with buffaloes. He also plays flute. Ranja also plays flute. Krishna is Samvara, so is Ranja. He's also Samvara, and both of them have a relationship which is outside marriage. So, in what way do you think bhakti poetry is close to, let's say, Sufi poetry? And my particular question would be, in what way Mira's contribution actually makes Sufi poetry? Is she at the top of the Sufi poetry, or she's somewhere making a contribution in this? I would like to know.
You see, Sufism particularly, it's very interesting. I wrote about that also. There is a poetess called Rabia.
Mhm.
And Rabia is identified as the first Sufi poet, and she's a woman.
Mhm.
That's the most interesting part.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And when how it all started, particularly the Christian mysticism, also Sufism, Bhakti movement, they were all parting. The common people, the people were parting away from the canonical religion, where there was what was required was that there was an intermediary. For example, the Brahman in terms of Hindus, in the Maulvis in terms of Muslims, and the clergymen in terms of Christians. They were interpreting the religion to people. They were interpreting God to people. And somehow Sufism, Bhakti, mysticism, they all lead to one thing, that there is no interpreter required. One can have a direct relationship with God. And they broke away from ritualism, all kind of ritualism.
Yes, yes, that's true.
And this is where she also broke away from all kinds of ritualism. You have asked me, like, where does she make any contribution, or is she, you see, so when we talk about mysticism in general, or Sufism, or bhakti poetry, or the poetry where which is about God, which is about one, becoming one with God, I think every saint has made a contribution. We cannot say, and every saint is a stalwart in their own sense of the term. So there is no comparison as such. I would not say that Bulla is, a bigger Sufi than Mira, or Mira is a bigger Sufi than Bulla. So they are both uh, the same for me.
Yeah, but I was more interested in knowing the influence. In what way I think her poetry influenced the Sufis, because lots of important Sufis, they came somewhere in the later part of 16th or 17th or 18th century, when Mira
Oh,
was already a part of the folklore, Indian
yes.
folklore.
Yes, she became a part of the folklore because she is kept alive by the oral tradition. And
Yes.
the most important part was that this, and that's why you had earlier also raised a question, that why somewhere the poetry is in Thet Gujarati, somewhere it is in Rajasthani, somewhere it has that Hindi, and somewhere it has that Braj Bhasha kind of.
Braj and Avdi also at times.
Yes, Avdi also, Braj Bhasha also. So why this? Because it was, and her poetry belongs to the oral tradition. It was kept alive by people. So
Mhm.
whichever language people used, they kept her alive in that, which is very different from the Sanskrit texts, which had a canon, which had a very, very, strict rules and regulations, and typical way of pronunciation, typical way of, dissemination from one generation to another. But Bhakti poetry as such differed. And when these people were traveling, they were carrying these ideas, these thoughts from one place to another in their own language. So the whole Bhakti movement, the whole Sufi movement, it's their idea is the same. What is the idea? Underlying idea is that you do not need an intermediary to reach to God. You can have one-to-one relationship with God,
Yes.
and He belongs to everyone. And that's the basic thing. And then you can love God and be one. Anal haq, you can be one with the God. God is not different. He's not an entity outside you, he's an entity inside you. So these are the things which are at the core, which of course Mirabai has played a when she, towards the end of it, she becomes, she says that, just as you say that, you try to bring Ranja and Krishna, in some sort of a comparison. So uh, basically it is Ranja Ranja Kardini mein ape Ranjan hoi. So she also says that I have become Krishna and Krishna has become me. So we are
Yeah,
one. It's the
exactly.
same ideology, it's the same thought, which has
All right.
traveled from 7th century to 18th century.
Mhm.
It's a
Uh,
long journey.
yes, there were lots of other bhakti poets at that time who were her contemporary or came little earlier or little later, like Tulsidas was there, and of course Surdas was there, and of course the most important is Ravidas. Many people say that she
Yeah.
takes him as her mentor. Uh, do you agree with that, or would you tell us something more about that?
Yes, they say that mm, whether he was her master or not, he was her guru or not. It is, I quote Nabhadas in his book, In the Lives of Holy Men. He has described Ravidas as a disciple of Ramananji. Now, uh, Ravidas' timing is, it's believed that he lived up to 118 years, and his time is very, it matches the time when Mirabai was around. So they had together 32 to 44 years. And when she went to Dwarika, he also traveled to this part of the country. and they might have met, because she does mention Raidas. So Raidas is mentioned as Ravidas in Navadas's book also. So it is quite possible. Whether he mentored her or not, we do not know. But there is a legend, there is a story that goes like this, that she went to him and he first declined, and he is the one who gave her that, that who initiated her into the fold of the saints. So there's this very popular Ram, what is that? When it comes to me, I'll share it with you. There's a very, very popular bhajan attributed to that. And when they say that she took Naam from him, Meera, I'll just remember and I'll share it with you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's right. But we would like to know, because right then we also had Surdas, who was an equally, big a devout of Krishna. In what way do you see the difference between the two?
Surdas worships different Krishna. He worships a child in Krishna. And I would say that Surdas and Tulsidas were closer in Ram and Krishna's bhakti than, seeking a comparison between Mirabai and Tulsidas. But Surdas celebrates his childhood.
Yeah.
She celebrates the youth, the young, the...
Not always, I guess. Even Surdas sometimes, he has Udho. Udho is going to the Sakhis, and he is sending a message. Sakhis are saying that Udho should go to Krishna and convey their sentiments to Krishna. In a way, there is that part of the adult Krishna also.
Adult Krishna is there. There is admiration as far as Surdas is concerned. She seeks a personal relationship with, which is true in case of most of the female mystics, because Saint Teresa of Avila, with whom I have compared her, she seeks a similar kind of relationship with Christ.
Okay.
So it's to be the bride of Christ.
Okay.
And she wants to be the bride of Krishna.
Guru Pratap, shall we continue, or do you think we have the video ready?
I was going to text you in any case that Gurleen is now available, and I think she will be able to play that bhajan.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just reminded of that song, Payoji Maine Ram Naam Ratan Dhan Payo.
That's about Ram. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's not Ram. Actually, it is Naam Ratan Dhan Payo, they say.
Okay, all right.
So,
but many interpreters have accepted that this is probably the influence of Tulsidas on Meera.
Yes.
That she wrote these couple of bhajans about
Ram is actually, basically, Ram is the invisible God, not the Ram of Tulsidas here.
Okay.
That's the interpretation.
Yeah. Chaliye ji, Guru Pratap ji, if you can play that.
Gurleen, can we have the video now?
Again, I think the audio is missing.
Is the audio still missing?
Yes, it is.
Yes, the audio is missing.
So I can play it on my phone.
Yes, please.
And we can do it this way.
Okay, looks like there is.
I think we'll have to forego the videos.
I think yes, probably we'll have to.
Yeah.
No problem.
So
Okay.
We're also coming towards the end of the program because we just have a couple of minutes left for questions now. And
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yes, I'll just have the last question and then I think we will be done with it.
excellent, excellent.
Okay. Now, Ramnita, the last one is that besides India, there were many other places, I think, where this kind of bhakti movement or some kind of a devotional thing was going on. Would you like to tell us in what way those movements were different or similar to the one we had in India at that time?
Yeah, I just shared, as I just shared with you, that in the Muslim world, in the Islamic world, it was Sufism which was being popularized, and of course it started with Rabia in the 8th century and became very, very popular with Rumi and Attar, and and then later with Baba Farid, and then later, much later, with Bulle Shah and Shah Hussain, all these people. So that's the Islamic you know
Tradition, yeah.
yes, tradition. In Christian tradition, there was mysticism, and women, Saint John of Cross, he was one of the major mystics, then Saint Teresa of Avila, and there were other female mystics also who were surprisingly they had to undergo a test, because these how they were different. It's something very interesting that I really want to share with you, that India had a very, very open kind of, I would say, at least Meera, of course, Meera was tortured by the people, by her own family, but not to the extent where she was, to the extent to which the Christian saints were tortured. The Christian saints, whenever they would have visions, they had to testify those visions through a very, very strong patriarchal system where the Pope or the bishop would stamp that as an authentic vision or as an inauthentic vision.
Okay.
That's something very, very strange, and that's how many of the women saints, they were persecuted also, and they were, because it was believed that they are false, they are not having the right kind of visions. At least
Okay.
that is the kind of thing that which our saints did not have to face. They could they were taken as whatever they were, their visions, or they were accepted, you know.
Okay.
And as far as these Islamic saints are concerned, they were also, many of them were persecuted, because in the Semitic religions, the belief is that you cannot become one with the God. You can be in the presence of God, but you cannot be the God.
Okay.
But in Bhakti, in Sufism, in mysticism, they say that you can be one with the God. You can become one with the God. You can lose yourself and be with the God. So that's the
Okay.
belief.
Last few words about again. Guru Nanak was a contemporary of Meera Bai. Did they ever, cross each other? In what way do you think?
We do not have a historical reference of that, uh, whether they crossed each other or not, because she went from Medta to Dwarika, and she also came to Mathura for some time.
Yeah.
That was her area of movement. That's where she was. And whereas if we go by the Udasis of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, we see that they might not have crossed the path.
Yeah, but I was more interested in knowing why Surdas has been included in Guru Granth Sahib. And there is no mention of Mirabai because she was an equally great name at that time. Any idea about that?
I think probably because when when Guru Granth Sahib was being compiled, and people were bringing their texts to Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and probably she got ignored because she was a female. That could be the reason,
All right.
and she was not very the same kind of prejudice that the Christian saints had suffered at their. I really don't know the reason of why she was not.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it was a very lively
It
discussion.
gives me an another area to kind of work upon and find out like actually is not.
Yeah, thank you very much for your very significant contribution to the discussion on Mirabai. I think on behalf of Maja House, let me say thank you very much to you. And I think we will leave the house now open for discussion. There must be some questions from the other participants.
जी सर क्वेश्चंस तो ऑलरेडी आने शुरू हो गए हैं और पहला क्वेश्चन चमक साहब की तरफ से पता नहीं कब से उन्होंने हाथ अपना रेज किया हुआ है.
जी बताओ जी.
He is very keen to have his question answered. But before that, I have a small announcement to make. कि आप जो भी आज हमें ज्वाइन कर रहे हो, there are around 44 or 45 people who have joined us today. आप प्लीज कांटेक्ट और अपना नाम हमारे साथ जरूर शेयर करना इस नंबर पे. मैं नंबर बोल रहा हूँ, वैसे तो उसमें टेक्स्ट में आ गया है 977-90-200-50 977-90-200-50. तो अगर आप इस पे अपना नाम और अपना फोन नंबर भेजेंगे तो you can remain updated about all the events that are scheduled for the next week or the next 2 weeks. Thank you so much. And Chamak sir, I can see you already. So please, you can ask your question now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so very much, Guru Pratap ji, and Guru Updesh sir. Wonderful session. And let me thank from the core of my heart, Ramnita, to you for such a deep insight about the character of Meera.
Thank you so much.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
When I raised my hand, I think probably I had two questions in my mind. Probably the last question which was asked by Professor Guru Updesh sir, those are my two questions, because Guru Nanak was a contemporary of Mirabai. And now with the concluding answer of yours regarding the inclusion of Surdas into Guru Granth Sahib and not Mirabai has raised another question to my mind, and which I would like to go to the details now, that why not any of the female is there in the Guru Granth Sahib. Now it has raised another eyebrow. It has raised something, which is to be, of course, but my question was only that since Guru Nanak was also contemporary to Mirabai, and probably you answered that question, and that is the time when I raised my hand, and that is why Guru Pratap said I raised my hand quite, long. But then, thank you so very much, and I would like to meet you in person when I come to Jalandhar, because it's a very interesting, not as you as a professor, but then I see some more mystical, insight from your aura also. So I would, if Maja House allows me, I would definitely love to be with you in your company for some time. And thank you, Guru Pratap ji. Now, this question we will discuss, at the platform of Maja House also. Why not any female, of the Bhakti movement, of course, of the Sufi movement? Rabia was born in the 8th century, and she also said something similar to what Meera said, what Bulla said, what actually Guru Nanak said also. But then, thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity to, have a word with you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Chamak Sahab, don't worry. Once the lockdown is over, we'll have Ramnita over at Maja House in person.
Yeah.
But I wish to have one, one-to-one talk with Ramnita.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you so much.
She's in Jalandhar itself.
I know.
Preeti has raised her hand. Gurleen, can you have Preeti?
Yeah, Mahesh Sagarji has asked a question.
जी जी, उनका तो नीचे आ भी गया, वो मैं पढ़ देता हूँ. I'll do that.
Yeah.
हाँ जी, प्रीति आपका क्वेश्चन.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed that and learned a lot also. And I love the fact that she was actually a feminist. So, I mean, you know, she made her own decisions, and that is fantastic to hear. I remember reading this lovely book by Kiran Nagarkar called Cuckold, which told the story from the other side, you know, and from the husband and what he felt. And I had found that fascinating, even though it was like a mixture, of course, of history and fact and fiction, but it was really lovely. What would Meera be called today, supposing she was being psychoanalyzed by somebody? This kind of obsession with Krishna, what would she be called today? Just curious.
I was, you must have heard of Badri Raina, sir.
Yes, we have. Yes,
I was at Kashmir. I presented a paper on Meera in Kashmir in his presence. Badri Raina and ML Raina, sir, both of them were there. So when I talked about dissent, he totally disagreed. He said, no, it's all neurosis. You know? That's exactly no question, you know.
But that was only ML Rana's wit. You shouldn't take
So
you shouldn't take it seriously.
She's obsessed with Krishna.
Yes.
But I think that's a very. I'm not a psychology fan because I'm a philosophy fan. Basically. Psychology is a very, very limited subject. So when we talk about the relationship between, when we talk about Meera, when I experience Meera, she is much beyond the mind. You know, psychology you can apply only to the mind. It's like it's a spiritual person she is. It's about consciousness, it's about opening up of the consciousness, and it is about becoming Krishna. So whether in this world, whether in medieval times or in the modern times or in the times to come, Meera will remain Meera, and Meera is a consciousness. Meera is beyond, in my case, you can't really put her in a slot. Maybe.
Can I just add to what Preeti is asking?
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, I think she'll become one of the Swamis of today. And the Swamini of today. And I think she'll have a huge following. And she may have a dera of her own, I think, where she can install herself. And
Meera, sir, at that time also she could have had. But none of the saints, female saints, did not have.
She didn't know the commercial benefits of it at that time. Today it's a very lucrative business.
Sir, I would argue because she did not need that. She was from, if money was what she wanted, she had it all.
Yeah, actually she had it all. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. She was married into that family.
Yes.
Of course.
We were just discussing because if she was here today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti, for asking that. And I would just like to go through certain comments that we have from the audience. This was thoroughly enjoyed the discussion. Someone called Oshima, and someone says great initiative, Preeti, and congrats Maja House. And someone says nice session. Someone says thank you so much for this wonderful session. तो ये हमारे 4-5 हैं. और अगला क्वेश्चन जो था वो महेश सागर जी का था. Asking कि did Mirabai become popular after her death?
You see, I cannot say that she became popular after her death because then she wouldn't have lived with us. You know, we got her. She's brought to us through an oral tradition, which means that the people of her time kept her alive, and then that knowledge passed on to the next generation. Because she's chronicled much later, centuries later. So that means that she was
largely in 18th century.
Yes. 18th century she was chronicled, and she passed away. She died in 16th. It's about almost 2 centuries. There's a gap of 2 centuries.
Okay. And agla question hai from Mahinder Sangeeta.
Yeah, she's. वो कह रहे हैं कि एक question है पर question नहीं है.
So maybe she wants to be on the screen, or maybe she wants to ask it herself. Mahinder, Sangeeta ji, Sangeeta ma'am, अगर आप मेरे को सुन रहे हैं अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर लीजिए so we can hear your question, या फिर चैट में डाल दीजिए. I could ask it on your behalf. उतनी देर में we have another raised hand by Vandana Goel. Gurleen, can we have Vandana Goel? Gurleen, could you have Vandana Goel and Mahinder Sangeeta? There, I see you. Good evening, ma'am.
Hello. Am I
Good
audible?
evening.
Yes, yes, ma'am, you're audible.
अच्छा, दोनों आ
Yeah,
गए.
ma'am, it's just in addition to what you were saying,
Yeah.
Mirabai was actually a saint, and she she was anointed with the name of Ram from Tulsidas saint. So it was like she was very, very anxious after her husband had died, and she had no solace of her heart and mind. That is the time when she met Tulsidas ji, and thereafter Tulsidas ji told her कि जाके हृदय ना नाम राम विदेही तजिए कोटि बैरी संग जद भी परम स्नेही. वो कह रही थी कि she was like she never knew what to do, whether she to leave the house, whether to go away or not. That is the time when Tulsidas told her to leave everything behind, all the worldly bonds, and just go and just take the name of Ram. And also she was always attached to the tangible God in form of Krishna. So that is how both the things came into her life. Like tangible Krishna was always there from childhood, and Ram ka naam, the name of God Ram. Ram means the name of Ram, which denotes God. एक राम दशरथ का बेटा, एक राम घर घर में लेटा, वही राम दशरथ का बेटा, वही राम घर घर में लेटा, वही राम का जगत पसारा, वही राम है जग से न्यारा. That kind of thing. I mean, God's name, which she was given by Tulsidas ji, that is how she, came into both the things. I mean, tangible Krishna as well as the name of God. This is what I was just giving a, addition to what you were telling me. Tried my own, whatever I knew. I used a lot about Mirabai.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a good piece of information.
और महेंद्र मैम, संगीता मैम, आप आगे उस स्क्रीन पे आप भी अपना क्वेश्चन पूछ लीजिए.
Yes, Guru Pratap.
जी जी, good
Thank
evening.
you very
Good
much.
evening.
It has been nice hearing this discussion on Mirabai. It's not actually a question, it's just a small observation that I wish to make here. Guru Dev sir's question that we would also like to know something about Mirabai as a real person. To my mind, it seems that Mira's love for Krishna is actually the yearning of the female for the full-bodied male. And Mira's poetry is a mixture of the temporal and the spiritual. Because her own she was in love with a fantasy right from her childhood. She had never met Krishna, she had never seen Krishna, but she falls in love with that. And when her own marriage is not consummated, in Rajasthan, it's very difficult to go back to the parents' family, and there was a pratha of sati also, that they would burn themselves on the pyre of the husband. Meera finds a solace in being a devotee of Krishna, and she clings on to that Prince Charming or dream hero throughout her life. And her poetry, it seems, is born out of that. Because there is a single focus in. I was in 6th standard when I read and learnt one of her bhajans, Darshan Dijo Aaye Pyare, Darshan Dijo Aaye, Jal bin Kamal, Chandra bin Rajni, Aise Tum Dekhe bin Sajni. So it is actually the longing of the female for the male, which ultimately culminates into longing of the soul with the supreme soul. So in that sense, she can be called a mystic. But as a real person, if you look at her life as a woman, bound in the shackles of society of that time, what would be your perspective?
Is that question to me or to Guru Dev sir in the first place?
Both of you.
No, I think Ramnita can answer it better, because I guess she has already, in a
I've
way,
already
hinted.
tackled this part of it.
Yeah, because she's already told that how it becomes from the temporal, it transcends into spirituality at the later stage of her life. I think, but she can probably explain it later more than I can.
Yeah, so it's basically like I as I perceive that it all started with that, as they say, with that one single incident of finding her doula in that Krishna. And that's how that naive kind of, belief led her into some sort of very deep rooted attachment with that idol. And
it's sorry, I'm interrupting you. It's like clinging to a concept or to an image,
because it's clinging to an image and to an idea, to a fantasy, to whatever you're saying. I agree with that, because they are not centuries apart, they are ages apart, they're yugas apart.
Yeah.
They're yugas apart, right? So that idea of Krishna, the marriage was never consummated because the husband had died. And yes, one of the beliefs, one of the ideologies of feminism also says that it is the sexual energy, kind of, which is channelized into that spiritual energy, and then it leads her to that transcendence, right? There is that yearning that you find. There is that that yearning also from that physical form to the spiritual. There are stages, just as I said, that there is that attraction, then yearning, and then it transcends to something absolutely spiritual. I 100% agree with what you have said.
Thank you so much.
On a lighter note, Sangeeta ji, who would not like to, fall for Krishna? He's dark and handsome. He's a ladies' man.
That's true.
and he can also show you miracles. And he's such a strategist. He's a 16 karat parpoon. So why can't we have him as one of the most desired man? That's okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
एक क्वेश्चन मेरा भी है, so मैंने अपना हाथ तो रेज नहीं किया, but I'm here, so I'll ask my question. Ramnita, why do you think that so many miracles are associated with Meera? The poets तो और भी थे, कबीर भी थे, राय भी थे, कितने लोग तो थे, रविदास जी भी थे, तुकाराम भी थे, किसी के साथ भी miracles नहीं एसोसिएट होते?
नहीं, miracles associated हैं.
हाँ.
उनके साथ में मेरा वीडियो चला गया शायद. So miracles are, can you hear me?
हाँ, आवाज आ रही है आपकी.
Okay, so miracles are associated with these saints for the simple reason that the saints are kept alive through an oral tradition.
जी.
So they had to be painted as something larger than life, right? So that the people would believe. Okay, so any normal person is not a saint. Okay, so one larger than life quality which they did have, which Meera did have, was that of rebellion, was that of to be able to go against the established system. That was a larger than life characteristic, I would say. But to associate miracles with them, it has been done with all the saints.
Okay.
Not only with Meera, it has been done with all the saints.
पर मीरा वाले ज्यादा पॉपुलर है ना. मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल नो कि वो कमरे का ताला पे अपने आप खुल गया था, फिर मीरा गायब हो गई थी, फिर जहर पी के भी जिंदा रही. Those kind of things.
देखिए, जो जहर पी के ये मेटाफर्स भी हो सकते हैं. ठीक है. सांप जो है, स्नेक आया तो वो दुश्मनी का भी प्रतीक. These can be metaphors also.
Okay. In fact, Gurpratap, I think you can relate very easily to what the kind of stories we have about Guru Nanak also.
Yes, yes.
Of course.
I think it's similarly, I mean, anyone, when you're trying to deify someone, when you're trying to raise someone to the stature of a super human being, or with special or miracle, miraculous powers, you build up these stories. And I think it's a part of the oral culture. She's right when she says that. And we have got these stories not only in India. The similar kind of stories are popular in Bible and with Christian world and with the Muslim world as well. Wherever there is religious devotion, it probably gets exaggerated. That's what I understand.
Okay. So I don't think there are any other more questions pending. So I'll do the honors then.
Yes, please.
मेरे को तो खैर मीरा की पोएट्री वैसे ही बहुत पसंद है और मेरे को तो सेशन बहुत अच्छा लगा. बट आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दैट एवरीवन हु जॉइंड अस हैड अ वंडरफुल टाइम, क्योंकि एट द पीक वी हैड 45 पीपल जॉइनिंग इन ऑनलाइन, और अभी भी बहुत सारे लोग हमारे साथ ऑनलाइन ही हैं. सो they are there with you, and they must have enjoyed your session also. और उनके views तो आ ही रहे हैं. I'm pretty sure you can see the chat also. So on behalf of Maja House, I would like to thank Ramnita for joining us today and doing a wonderful session on this Saint Poet. And Gurupdev sir, as always, your questions were very insightful and very wide-ranging. Sorry. Thank you so much for joining us. And like I told everyone, कि हमारे updates आपके पास आते रहेंगी जो भी हम sessions कर रहे हैं, and we'll keep you posted. अगर आपको हमारी efforts अच्छी लग रही हैं, आपको हमारी sessions पसंद आ रहे हैं, so this is the time to join Maja House and become a member and support whatever we are doing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ramnita. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ramnita. Thank you very much, Guru Pratap, for organizing this session.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.